Hello and welcome to Ewe Sew You. My name's Zoe and this is my channel all about the crafty bits and pieces I get up to. I knit, I sew, I spin on a drop spindle, I dabble in weaving from time to time and anything else that takes my crafty fancy really. So this week we're looking at the things that I've been making through March. So grab a brew, put your feet up and let's get started. So welcome back to any returning viewers, and to any new viewers a very warm welcome to you. I've seen a few people have subscribed recently, so hello, thank you for doing that. If you haven't already, the stuff's down there, you know what to do, or the YouTubers tell you. So this week's video is a podcasty type episode, so we are looking at all the bits and pieces that I've been getting up to throughout March. Yeah, let's get started with what I am wearing. This is my Calais shirt, which is a shirt dress pattern. I think it's closet core patterns. I probably should have checked that before I started filming, but I will put the details on screen somewhere, and obviously the links will be down below as well. It was a Minerva Makers project, so I was gifted this fabric in return for a post on their website, so I will link to that. My Minerva links do tend to be affiliate links. Which means if you use them and make a purchase, I get a little bit of money in return. It's not a huge amount, but it doesn't cost you any extra, so it's kind of a win-win situation. But obviously if you'd rather just go to the Minerva website and search Ewe Sew You there, you'll get my profile, you get all the projects that way. So that's what I'm wearing. I love this shirt. I will be making more with this pattern. I quite like the idea of making the dress length version, although I probably belt it a lot of the time because it's quite a loose fit, and that'll be more my sort of style to cinch it in a little bit. But yeah, the fabric's great, it creases easily, so it does need to be hung up all the time. I probably should have pressed it before I put on, but that's just not me. So yeah, so I love this. It's a jungle print pattern. I believe it's a viscose challis. Again, details, if I've got that wrong, will be on the screen, but the link to my post about it and the fabric and everything will be down below. So yeah, so this gets a lot of wear. I will probably be wearing it on Saturday because I need access to my arm as I'm getting my first dose of the vaccine. Yay! So that's what I'm wearing, and let's move on to finished objects. It has been a month for finishing things up. Now you will have seen on my channel, if you're a regular viewer, that I did a couple of videos on how to use the peg loom, and I was weaving some fabric to make a pouch to store the pegs for my peg loom in. I'm going to make another one because I've put one size of pegs in this one, and I'll make another pouch for the other size of pegs because I have two sizes on mine. And this is the finished article. I decided, although I wove it that way, I decided that instead of having the horizontal stripe, I quite like the look of it vertically. So this is my peg woven little pouch. I've got a little lid on it. I've just braided for the fastener here, and it's simply a braid, like a normal hair 3-strand plait, to attach loops onto the flap, and I've used a couple of buttons there. It's not the most elegant pouch in the world, but it does the job. And it's all using leftover wool from my throwback cardigan. That's also a theme for this month, is using up wool left over from other things. Because my next project, my next finished item, I cast on New Year's Eve with some friends in an online session. And this is using a skein of yarn that I'd not used in my Parisian Dreams sweater. So it's the Mirasol Sulca Legato, so it's silk, alpaca, really drapey, beautiful yarn in a nice neutral colour. But I decided not to knit the jumper as long as the pattern, so I didn't need all the skeins I'd bought for it. And I've paired that with a couple of sock yarns left over from last year's Sock Madness, and another sock yarn that I won through my knit night and was sent to me from Australia. So I only had to pay for the pattern for this rather gorgeous Winter Lights shawl. It's a Stephen West pattern. It's my first Stephen West pattern, and it is super easy to wear. You can wear it sort of bib style, you can wear it over one shoulder, and because of the shape of it, it sits beautifully over the shoulders, more sort of traditional shawl style, and it wraps across the front as well, so if I ever get around to making or buying a shawl pin, I'll be able to wear it closed too. So yes, really practical, really attractive. It is rather large, so just in case you can't see it properly on screen, I will put a picture up here as well so that you can see it. I've already worn it to work. I don't know how much wear it's going to get as the weather is now warming up. It might be put to one side until it cools off again. But that being said, it may be worth bringing it out into the garden for like summer evenings as the sun goes down kind of thing. So we'll see. It might get a fair bit of wear over the summer. It might be more of an autumn shawl because alpaca is obviously quite warm. But yeah, I'm really pleased. I've never knit a West Knits pattern before. I don't normally knit for myself half circular shawls. This is the second one that I've cast on. I've still got to finish my lace one. Haven't knit on that this month. I will get cracking on that though. So yeah, so that's the Winter Light shawl. It's part of the Hyber Knit Along Cal, which I didn't take part in, mostly because I forgot the dates for it, because I didn't write them down. But yeah, so that's that. And I've got two more knitting finished objects to show you, and they are both socks because it's March, or rather it's April the 1st today that I'm filming on. You'll be seeing this Easter weekend. So Sock Madness has begun. The qualifying pattern for Sock Madness, I didn't really think about cameras when I picked out the yarn and the beads for. So hopefully it'll come across quite well as I show it to you. This yarn is fairly dark, but it's stunning. It's greys and purples and pinks and all sorts. It's Gamer Crafting, and it's her charity colourway. Housing is a human right. So a proportion of the cost of the yarn went to Shelter, which is a British housing charity. So yeah, so charity yarn from Gamer Crafting, which I had sent out with my blanket club, which I've also not worked on in March. I've got 2 months to do. February and March is still to work up, but hey. So yeah, so this pattern is Senbon Sakura. I hope I'm saying that right. And it was the qualifying pattern for Sock Madness this year. It's got these cherry blossom flowers with a pair of beads in the centre. I've obviously not beaded the ones on the foot because they go inside shoes. It's an enjoyable sock to knit, but it did take me a fair bit of time for socks because it's a twisted rib backing on it, so that takes a bit of time, smocked stitches and stuff. Plus you don't want to rush your qualifying sock for Sock Madness because they team you based on speed. So you take time over that one. I'm really pleased with the end result. The heel is a rather nicely textured heel flap and gusset. They fit nicely. They're not like negative ease socks on me. Their stitch count is a bit higher because of all the smocking. So they are looser on me than I normally would have because obviously I trusted the pattern, which is what you should do. They're not too loose in that I can't wear them. They are just a looser fit than some of my other socks, which is fine. They're comfortable, is what I'm trying to say. They're not negative ease socks, at least not on me. They might be on other people. But yeah, I'm really pleased with how they've turned out, and it is quite hard to get the details to come across on the camera, so hopefully you can see the little flecks of colour coming through. I don't know if the camera will pick up the beads because they are almost identical in colour to the yarn. So yeah, so that's the first pair of socks. That got me into my team. I am on Team A this year. The teams this year are named after stars, so it's Team Alioth. Now, usually the Team A is the slowest average speed team. Not sure that's the case this year. Myself and many of the other people on the team were kind of middle of the pack in our previous years. So L's to N's, a couple of P's in there. So middle of the alphabet is usually mid-speed. So either the field's got a lot faster this year, or they've changed the way that they letter the teams. Because we've still got until the weekend for this round, until Saturday, I think. And my team's almost entirely full. There were 60 people to begin with. There are 50 people moving forwards to the next round. So yeah, we're a quick team. Within sort of 3-4 days, there were 25, 30 people through, which is fairly speedy. Oh, actually, the pattern came out on the Wednesday. So we've got a week today. Wednesday the 7th of April, I think the round ends. Unless all the teams are filled up before then, which they might be looking at the numbers. So this was round 1's socks. This pattern is called Ebill Choices, or Ebill Choices. I'm not quite sure how the designer intends for it to be said. They are mirrored socks. I do have a bit of a weird ridge here, but it doesn't show when you're wearing them. The reason I have that weird ridge is in this pattern you have a choice as to whether you knit the socks inside out, so you're working from the stocking stitch side with the cables on the outside, or what's effectively the wrong side of the knitting as you're working them, or purling all the way around. And I purled all the way because I felt I would get confused with the cabling doing them inside out, which does mean that I've got these ridges where the magic loop joined. That's going to even out as I wear the socks. I haven't blocked them. They're socks. They'll block out on my feet. So that will even out as I wear them. So I'm not worried about it. It's just I'm not used to knitting my socks all purled. So that's all it is. But these were an interesting knit. They took me about 4 days. I wasn't knitting all day. I was sort of starting in the afternoon. I'm going to have to knit earlier in the day for the next round. But they've got these like heart cables here with this tree effect coming down the foot. So it's all 3D cabling. Some of the cables are sort of 7, 8, 9 stitches wide. Others are 3 stitches wide. But yeah, they were quite an enjoyable knit. Again, they're a good fit. They're a tighter knit than the other socks. I did go down a stitch count for these ones. There's 2 sizes, large and medium large and small medium. I would normally knit the large size because I've got big feet, but being pearl I knew that my gauge would be slightly looser than being knit. Plus I know a few people with smaller feet than me who I can always gift them to if they don't fit. So I cast on the smaller size and they fit me perfectly. As I say, they are a snugger fit than the other socks, but that's fine. So yeah, really pleased with those. So that's my knitting finished objects, my weaving finished objects out the way. I have a couple more finished objects to show you. 2 that are beading and 1 that is lace. I'll start with the lace one. Regular viewers will have seen my lace making video, and this is what I was producing during that. I need to sort out some more of these leaves. I am working on a larger project. I'm counting each leaf as a finished object. And then I'll have an ultra finished object once I get my final thing together, because it's going to take me years. This leaf I started months ago, but because I do so many crafts, things do sort of get put to one side and picked up and put to one side and picked up. So it can take me a while to do things. So I'm going to count each leaf as a finished object, much like with my monthly blanket squares. I'm counting each square as a finished object. So yeah, so I've done a bit of torsion lace. I'm going to do some more of these with some different stitch patterns in, maybe some different colour threads. I've got some brown as well, and build up a picture with some sort of tree type affair. I might have to work out my own pattern for a trunk. Because the pattern I've got from the Lace Guild, so you've got leaves and flames. So it's designed to do flowers and fires and leaves and that kind of stuff. So the leaf shape you can use as a petal for flowers, for instance. So that's my lace making. There will be more bobbin lace making, as I say, over the next goodness knows how many years it takes me to finish that project, but it's only for me, it's for my enjoyment, so there's no rush. My next two finished objects are both bead weaving. As you know, I have started bead weaving both on the loom, which I haven't touched this month, just because socks, but also I do a bit of off loom peyote stitch weaving now, which is a new project. The first project I'm going to show you, you can actually see some threads coming out of. This is not on the project itself, this is attached to one of the needles inside it, because this is a needle case cover. This is a kit from the bead shop in Nottingham, so their website is Mail Order Beads, and they send things out super quick. So it's a small business, fairly local to me. It's my nearest city. I live in Lincolnshire, but Nottingham is closer than Lincoln, and I've got a Nottingham postcode. So it's my nearest city, and most of my kit, well, all my kits I've bought from them. When I've bought beads separately, I tend to get them from Beads Direct, because I tend to use the toe-honed beads on sock knitting and for knitting projects, whereas the bead shop in Nottingham seems to be more a Miyuki Delica stockist than a Toho stockist. They don't seem to have so much of the Tohos. But yeah, so this project is made with Miyuki Delicas, and yeah, it comes as a kit. They also do one that's got flowers on that I may have to get at some point. And I'm keeping my bead weaving needles in here. Obviously not my loom bead weaving needles because they are this long, but my smaller peyote stitch needles are in here. And that project is made out of peyote stitch. It's my first tubular peyote stitch, because I am very new to bead weaving. I only started last month, as in February. The next project I'm going to show you is also a bead weaving project. So this starts off with peyote stitch, and I don't know what you call the other stitch. I just followed the instructions in the kit. It's also from the Bead Shop Nottingham. The findings I've added on myself, and I've decided how to add them myself. So this is a Swarovski Rivoli, if I just move that out of the way, which I have bezeled using peyote stitch, and then I've put some other decorative seed beads and delicas around the outside, which was all in the kit. My addition, I bought some findings from Beads Direct. So I have a wire guard at the top here, which I've used to attach a soldered ring so that I can use it as a stitch marker, and a lobster clasp so I can use it as a progress keeper. I have 3 of these. One of them, the lobster clasp, has come off, but that's because I'm new to doing this sort of thing and haven't quite mastered attaching the findings. I'll get better at that. But yeah, I've quite enjoyed doing these. They don't take too long to do, and yeah, they make really cute stitch markers. And in addition, the netting on the back that you use to hold the Rivoli in makes a little pentagram, which pleases my little soul. I don't know what it is about pentagrams. I'm not a Wiccan or anything, but I do quite like them. So yeah, so that's my little stitch marker, and that is all my finished objects for this month. I have one project that I so wanted to get finished for this month to show you. It's a nearly finished object. It will be finished next month. You may remember I showed you a bowl that I made using the same sort of plaster cast that hospitals use to fix broken bones. So Modrock they call it. So I put cling film or saran wrap, if you're in the States, over an existing sugar bowl, wrapped it in the bandages, let it dry, took it off, and yeah. I've started painting it. It's nearly done. Now this is from a kit that I bought years ago. We're talking two moves ago. Mid-20 teens. So the paint has gone a bit thick and gloopy, which is why I haven't quite finished it. The copper, antique copper, is looking great. I put one fairly thick coat on rather than the 2 to 3 because, as I say, the paint's got a bit gloopy. The black paint, however, it's almost done. There's a few sort of white specks on the inside that I'd like to fill in, and there's a few bits on this frill that I haven't quite got covered. So I'm going to flip the bowl over now that it's dry from the painting I did yesterday and see how much more of the frill I can get covered in the black. I may have to buy some more acrylic black paint to finish it off, just because it's old and the paint's not at its best. So it's nearly finished. I'm just not sure if I'm going to have quite enough black to finish covering up everything. Once it's finished being painted, it needs to be varnished. So I will obviously show it to you once it's fully painted and varnished and I've worked out what I'm going to use it for. As I said when I showed you before, I had intended for it to go on the shelf in the hall for keys to go in, but my other half is a bit worried that it's going to get knocked off and broken. So we're going to find another use for it, but it is looking rather good. It just needs finishing. Another coat of the black paint and some varnish and that'll be done. So nearly finished object, and I'm really pleased with it actually. It looks so much better now that it's painted than it did beforehand. I put the frill on because the layers of the bandage were a bit uneven, and I wasn't being very successful in evening it out. So I added the frill to sort of cover up some of that. But now that it's almost finished being painted, it looks really good. I'm really pleased with it. My only other work in progress to show you at the moment is a fluff to stuff project. Now I started this between the qualifying round and the first round of Sock Madness, so it hasn't been knit on in a few days. But if you remember, I spun up 3 bats from Bead Reading that I got for Christmas from my partner's brother. And I've spun them up as singles. So now I have started to knit them up into a shawl. So this is the Mr. Collins bat. I am making up this shawl pattern as I go. I am jotting it down, so I will be able to release it once I'm done. It's garter stitch, it's got a stocking stitch spine, and it's got some eyelet rows so far. Next I am going to be adding in, it's going to be a triangle shaped shawl. Next I'm going to be adding in kings and queens, and then at the bottom in the border there will be the griffin. So they should work quite well together. Colour wise as a shawl, it's what they were bought for. And so far it's knitting up well. I am obviously jotting down weights as I get to ends of sections to help me write it up once I go. So keep an eye out for that. In the next month or two, once I've finished the shawl and I've written it up, I will obviously get that out to testers and get the pattern released so that other people, if they want to, can knit it up. I'm enjoying it, it's knitting up really well, I'm enjoying the texture of it. So really pleased with how that is going. And that's really it this month. It's a bit of a short podcast for me really, and I'll do probably twice as long because I've normally got lots more things on the go. I have got other works in progress, I just haven't touched them this month. And I'm trying to keep my what I show yous to things that I've actually been actively working on this month. So let's think about plans moving forwards. Obviously I've got more spinning to do for fluff to stuff, and I've obviously got more socks to knit for Sock Madness. As I say, I do have my February and March squares for my Gamer Crafting Blanket Club blanket to crochet up, and that's using the Sophie's Dream pattern by Bead Weaving. I still don't know how to say her surname. So there's those. I've got a few bits that I've worked on previously that I need to pick up again and work on. I have done a little bit more on my temperature cross stitch through March. I'm sort of in the middle of the month at the moment, so I need to finish March off. But I'm not going to share that to you every single month. I'll probably show you every couple of months or so, just because it's going to get a bit repetitive if I show it to you every month. But that's coming along nicely. I haven't touched my other cross stitch this month again, my cat library cross stitch. That's a long project. But yeah, I have those to pick up and get on with. I am starting to put together lists of things to pick up for my first Heaven and Earth Designs project, which will be one of their free patterns. I'm waiting to hear back on some more fabric from Minerva for some more Minerva Makers projects. I need to make some shorts. Weather's warming up. I have very little in the way of shorts that fit, and certainly very little in the way of shorts that I can wear to work. So that's on the list. Summer dresses are on the list of things to do. And yeah, I've got a few other things to get off the needles that haven't been touched for a couple of months, but were started ages ago. So we're continuing with the whip down this year and seeing how many of my works in progress I can get off the needles without preventing myself from casting on new things, because let's face it, that's not going to happen. So yeah, so the main thing is fluff to stuff, Minerva projects, and finishing off things I've started, and getting them out the way so that I've cleared up needles and cleared up cables and cleared up project backs. So yeah, that's to say, not as much as I'd normally be showing you in terms of works in progress, or at least not as much as I've historically been showing you in terms of works in progress, but I'm thinking this is going to work better. I do have videos planned for every week for the next month or so. As you know, I'm aiming to get a video out every weekend, but I don't know whether it'll be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Life's a little bit all over the place at the moment for everybody, so yeah, weekend is as accurate as I'm going to go. And I will leave it there. I need to go and check on my potatoes that I planted the other day, see if they've started to sprout. And I will see you soon. But in the meantime, if you haven't already subscribed and liked and dinged the bell, you know what I mean. The stuff down there that YouTubers tell you to do that. I will see you soon, and until then, happy crafting and bye-bye for now.